this new Miami Strike map. I just went in to play a public lobby of it, and if anyone has seen any of my prior streams or videos on YouTube, um, I have over a 2 KD ED elimination death ratio this year for people who know the difference between what those are. Generally do pretty well, go on some very high end streaks, frequently run like anywhere between 6 to over 10 KD matches. League play, a lot of times top of the board, so have a decent clue of what I'm talking about here. And on the public match, I just went in on Miami Strike. It was Hardpoint. It was horrible. Now, a lot of that's going to be understood, but generally, I feel like the past few years, while the player base has gone up, the quality of gameplay has gone down in general, and it could get really bad in some of these public matches. So, most of the time, my strategic gameplay advice information is kind of mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to jump right into a simple custom game here of Hardpoint. No players, just to look at the map and what a person should be doing in Hardpoint. Okay, so the first thing is that this year they have made it very easy to do your hardpoint rotations, showing you where the next point is going to be. Whatever. The big thing this year is that these hardpoint rotations and these maps are so much better than last year in Modern Warfare. Last year's Modern Warfare hardpoint was horrible. That was the biggest chore. It was literally breaking people's controllers. Before they added the automatic sprint options and whatever. Running across those maps was just absurd. It was horrible. This year is not like that. This is good Hardpoint. So go in on this. Obviously, you need to know where your first Hardpoint is going to be on the map. Oh, I meant to do Miami Strike.
The objectives.
That doesn't really matter.
Hardpoint located.
Okay, got a few seconds here. It's giving you the indicator. All right. Smack dab in the middle of the map. Pause this for a second. Oh, it's not going to let the time... Oh, let me pause it. Okay. First thing you need to identify on this is that the Hardpoint is right in the middle of everything. You don't even have to do this Hardpoint. There are so many just simple decisions that can be made. Nobody has to do this Hardpoint. You could farm, since this is going to be smack in the middle, you could simply farm this Hardpoint. But that's a very baity way of playing. You do not need any more than one person on a Hardpoint. These teams that all bundle in and throw everybody in there to get frag grenaded, there's absolutely no point. The second thing is you need to have a sense of the time of the transitions. You need to look at it. 1 minute of transition time. That means this is very quick given the size of the map. You could have stationed somebody at the next Hardpoint with something this close. Obviously, that's going to come from playing it, but it is something that you need to know because anybody who is playing this with any degree of skill is going to be doing that. So, here's the second point. You do not need 5 people standing in this floor. That should be common sense. I wish I could pause this to slow it down. But what you need to be doing when you have a point like this is you need to notice its relationship to the total geography of the map in a simple form. What that means is this is on our spawns. That was on our spawn side. It's on this you can see up here. It's on this it was on this west side of the map that we spawned in on. And what you want to do when the whole key, really, probably the single biggest key to Hardpoint, is that you need to clear out the spawn area. Or, in other words, you need to take control of that area of the map by blocking out the spawns of the other team. Hardpoint is essentially, if not, I mean, probably the single biggest thing to Hardpoint is spawn control. And what you're wanting to do is that when you have a point that is this in this close proximity, this close in adjacency to the boundary of the map, your map boundaries are your biggest determinant. They're your biggest friend. So that and I'm gonna skip where these points are rotating. I need to change the timer on it to make this more effective. But when you spawn on this west side of the map, and this is the side that you should have control over, when that point, the original point, was smack in the middle, all of your standard Call of Duty spawn rules are in effect. That means that as long as your team is in majority of control of this side, it's going to block the enemy team out of spawning over here. What you want to do on that first point is keep them on that side. You do not want them over here. You don't want spawns flipping. Your general spawn rules of the 50-yard line, the 66-yard line, and I'm saying that in an analogy to football just to simplify it. Obviously, there are no yard lines. But if you basically grafted a out-of-scale football field onto the map, that's how you play Call of Duty. Your team is starting on the west 0-yard line. Theirs is starting on the east 0-yard line. Your kickoff happens when the first when the game first starts, and this map, this regular Miami, puts the initial hard point right at the 50-yard line. So your team can push up without serious danger of flipping to about the 66-yard line. Some of the maps and circumstances you can push up here. You have to just, it basically, it depends on population density. But you're getting up here to the 75% line. This is where you're going to start to force flips, and it depends on how picky it is. When you have a that is though based on control of the map, because if you attempt to push up that far to a 66-75%, and the enemy team has allowed people to, if your team has allowed enemies to slip through, and that's the way you need to look at it. Is your team allowing enemies behind your lines? This is the whole trick of spawn control in Call of Duty. The front line of control. Team lines. It is a literal line. The line is basically a mean population density line that revolves around in proximity to the map. And you are, your main goal in Call of Duty on any mode should be control of your front line. Are we allowing enemies behind our line? Because as soon as they start to slip through, you're going to lose spawn control. So, you start out the map. The initial point is right in the middle at the 50-yard line. If you keep majority control of your spawn side, you can push up 66 to 75%. That is all you need to be doing on that first point, because anybody else is potentially going to mess it up. Nobody has full vision without ghost or UAV factors to know where everyone is on the map. You have to use a common averaging of control of the map and know that the point's there. When it is spawning, when it rotates back to this point, since your team had control of this spawn, that allows you to easily get somebody rotated into position and to take over this second point. However, for the other team, what's happening is that they now have the difficult job of two things have happened for them. For the enemy team that spawned on this east side, they get the same 50-yard line. They get the same general spawn flip rules. But since that point is up here, they have a predicament. As long as our team controlled that side of the map, we will continue to spawn over there. And that's going to put our spawns right there at the hard point. What this enemy team wants to do, which is totally different, is as soon as we can move on from this point, they need to immediately focus on getting behind this point due to its proximity to the border. They need to get behind this point and clear out this area. It's called spawn clearing. You take control over this. Depending on the Call of Duty, some of it can be controlled by line of sight. Now, as soon as you do this, there are going to be some fluky things that happen. Depending on where people are on the map, there may be people spawning over here, over here. They aren't going to spawn them on the opposite side of the map. It's too big. Nobody would have time to do that. So, a small map, like a Crossroads Strike or a Miami Strike, it's going to be much more focused, less seemingly random. I mean, give or take. You're going to have weird stuff. But when it's big like this, they can't. The point is that when it's a big map like this, they can't put everybody all the way across the map, or the game just becomes horrible. And that is something that happened last year. Modern Warfare had horrible freaking spawns. It was terrible. Between the close stuff on something like Shipment, which that was the worst shipment in the history of Call of Duty, to the big stuff on the Palace. I mean, there's no way to look at it. It was absolutely just the worst. But this, it doesn't matter so much where they're spawning around here, because when you know that you have this node in this proximity to the border of the map, which is the red line up there, you need to clear this out and take control of this corner. All that matters is taking control of this corner for your team. And so for the team that originally spawned far on the east side, that is what they need to do with the second point. So the question is, how does that team move from doing that? Because of when we first start out with the central point, if they attempt to rotate someone back here while that point is still under heavy effect, they are at risk of flipping the spawns. If the team, which I'm originally on, that spawned over here, has pushed up very far, if you have a bunch of people on your team who are all over pushing, basically it's called overextending. If your team overextends their original spawn too early in trying to push back here to the second point, it's going to start to cause the spawns to flip, and your guys who are attempting to do their best holding this down at the middle point are going to have enemies spawning behind them. You do not want that. As a result, your guy, who people have different terms for this, roamers, floaters, anchorers, all that really matters is that if your person or people who are attempting to anchor the next point early push too soon, they're going to mess up the spawns for the rest of the team and leave it in chaos. You lose control of the map. You want control of the geographic map. The number one thing you want in Call of Duty, in any mode, at any time, in anything, is control of the map. Now, I myself have gone through in Team Deathmatch, Kill Confirmed, other things, and I've teamed up with somebody and just run laps, circles, rushing routes. We specifically gone and flipped. If you get a team that can coherently control the spawn flipping, it's fun. You can do it. But that is more complex gameplay that is dynamic, and as soon as somebody doesn't know what they're doing, as soon as it starts going chaotic, that's bad. And if you go into public matches of Nuketown or any small map, you're going to just see, I mean, it's just imbecilic. It's literally, I've gone in and heard people on the microphone who don't play Call of Duty much. They said, this is absurd. This is just people running around like chickens with their heads cut off. It is. It's pointless garbage. You are not supposed to be doing that. If you can maintain spawn flipping, triple capping, multi-point hardpoint anchoring, any of these things without it turning into random pointless chaos, then that's skill. But when you are at that point where it's just junk, which is so much the time, you are doing something wrong. And if you're the person contributing that, if you're trying to go 110 and 15 on a map and you're turning it into total chaos for everybody else, you really suck. You need to go play free-for-all and experience what it's like to play free-for-all, because you might as well be, and you're ruining it for everybody else. Whatever the case, the two teams are in two totally different positions based on the fact that you're going from center over to an extreme on one team's spawn. And so it puts us in the two teams in two different functions, where the team that spawned on the east side, even on those first 2 points, has to manage this anchoring of the next point and clearing out the spawn. For the person who's clearing out the spawn, this is ideal, because what you do, you're going to get kills. If you come back here and start to clear this out, this is a chance for you to streak up, play ninja, be a little bit sneaky, and get this point anchored down. Okay, so the rest, this is actually a really good demonstration. This is a big map. It demonstrates what that's like. And what I need it to do here is I'm wanting it to show the next sequence of points to figure out what to do. Because when you clear this out, that is going to flip them over to, it'll flip the other teams over in an arc around your control of this node. So I've got to wait here for it to come back to the next point. I straight up admit I do not have these hard points memorized. There are different, you know, you could say, well, why tell people everything? You know, keep it to yourself, let them figure stuff out, whatever. But it improves the quality of experience of the matches to have. You can take
Hardpoint located.
You can have teams that have absolutely no clue what's going on and teams that know everything and still have a better, more competitive, more rewarding match when they know the stuff without it being like a free win for them. It generally, from my experience, improves the quality of experience for enemies to know the dynamics of the game rather than to just be oblivious. So, getting back to this point. It's easier to talk about positions of different people in controlling the point after this one, because this is so in the middle that they're really, it's like you're going to have these, like, immediately you're going to have snipers up here, for example. Okay, when you take over, whichever team takes over this side, if the other team knows what they're doing and is attempting to clear out this spawning area, you're going to be duking it out with them during this. But you have to, you're supposed to control your choke points, your entry-exit points, and your power positions. You know, those are just names for these things. But you're potentially going to have enemies coming in from here, behind the bus, from the doors. You have a few peak spots from over here. But all of that is kind of limited because somebody has to get on the point. You know, people need to be watching these major directions, not sitting in there on the point. People need to be out here watching the controls. Okay, so here we go. Here's the next point. This, again, is super easy. Regardless of whichever team has taken control back there, you're back to the 50-yard line, but you're on the extreme north-south poles of the map.
Hardpoint is secure.
What you have to do here is now recognize, did we have control of the last point? Where were the spawns happening? If the spawns were, if my team successfully took this back point, the enemies should all be now spawning around here, this area. And so when you go to control this, you can expect them to be coming more from this side. Now, again, if people go and mess it up, if they run around all of the, if they're running around making a mess of it, it's gonna tear it up. But knowing that it helps you to limit it. You know people are going to be coming in from here, from here, and you just play it safe. You try not to be exposed. You've got, if your team can keep coming from back here, that gives you your line. Okay, now we're having to push back to this side. Since you can see that this is, again, this is in proximity back to their spawn, you're again wanting to clear the spawn out. On your way over to this side, what you want to be doing is attempting to clear out this back area, because look at how close this is to the border. Here is the back border. You want to try and get them out of this entire region over here while gathering the point. The challenge with this is that this point is not back here at the extreme back of the map, and you only have limited time to capture. So in motion, because it is closer to this side, you want to be clearing out this back area as much as possible, but you only have limited time. Now we're getting the exact opposite. You're getting essentially, it's a little bit offset. It's kind of close to the halfway point, but it's pushed back towards the other end.
Hardpoint locked down.
Border. Same thing. You've got the same dynamic. It's close enough back here that you ideally want to be clearing this out. You have limited time because of the rotation time and the hold time, but you just have to do your best with it. It's this like roughly 66-yard line position. When it's at the 75-yard, 25-75, it's much easier to clear out the spawns. But even at these 66-33 lines, you want to be controlling that half of the map. And then you're right back to the middle again. So there you go. You have middle, extreme 75-25 line, 50-50 line again, but at the side of the map. You have a 66-33 line back there, and you have a 66-33 line up here. The challenging ones, this one is elementary. You're spawning in, you know it's a halfway point of the map. You can clearly see that you're right in the middle of the fire. Everything's about keeping them on one side. It's about watching out for the person on the point. You need one person on the point. One person. Everyone else needs to be covering for that person. You're going to, depending on the teams, you're getting a floater, roamer person, anchorer person over here. You want to immediately, because of this being a 75-25, clear out the spawn, force them to flip to the other side, control this node of the map. You want to be prepared in doing that for this flip over here to the 50-50 line. If you've successfully controlled that, you know that your enemies are going to be coming from anywhere over here instead of having to worry about them from this back side. The real challenging part on this map because of this is that these next 2 points are a long way away. They're only about 2/3. They're still a third of the way from the border of the map, roughly. I mean, at least it looked like it. And that puts you in a pickle of being able to, 1, get there, 2, hold control enough for points, and 3, control the spawn flip out. So if I start here at the first minute and I'm attempting to get back here to the other point, see how long it takes. You have easily a 20-second commute just to get over here. This again puts you in that spawn flip predicament, because if your team had control, if they pushed it over here, as soon as you go back here, you're potentially causing it to start to flip. And you do not want to do that until it's close enough time that the team is moving. Once that it's safe for them to start to move out from this point, which a lot of people do at around the 10 seconds remaining point, at 10 seconds remaining, that's going to give them about 20 to get over here, so they'll be about 10 seconds late. The roamer wants to go ahead possibly at about 10 seconds and start getting over here to take control over it and clear out the spawns and stuff. It's probably not a good idea for them to come back any earlier than that. With this on the 66-33, if at all possible, you probably want to go ahead and have 2 people coming over here to push around, and one of them clear out the back spawn while the other one holds the initial point down, because there's just not enough time. It's too far away. So same thing with this. When you get down to, I'm going to guess it's maybe a 20-second commute. Okay, get it down to 20 seconds. At 20 seconds, I'm going to try avoid all of that and get over here to the next point. I lost a little bit of time there. Okay, 20 seconds. One of you probably ideally want 2 people now back here. One person should already be pushing back around back, attempting to clear everything out. the other person should be on the point, and the rest of the team should be about 10 seconds late moving in. Now, obviously, if the other team is attempting to block any of this, with them having had control and respawns, if they know where the next point is, they are potentially going to be back here trying to block you. But that's the goal. So now here you are. With this point being, if you're clearing out the spawns back here, you have the team there, you know the next one's going to be in the middle of the map, you need to be rotating over here. Your enemies very rarely are going to be stationing over here because nothing's even over here. You do have to constrain yourself. On a map this big, with the points in these locations, you can't attempt to control every lane in the whole map. There aren't enough people. If you have a ground war size team of like whatever it is, 12 plus people, you can still do some of that. You can play campy, you can level up your sniping rifles, whatever. But in like this kind of limited like 6v6 type environment on a map this big, you can't do that. You've got to keep yourself focused to the general area. So here you are again. If you kept them, if you cleared out your spawns properly, as the teams rotated, you're going to be forcing them all somewhere back in here that you can take over this point again and rinse and repeat the cycle. Okay, so
Mission area secured.
go to the
You made
Miami Strike
JSOC
map.
proud.
They're done. Scour the area for intel.
So the difference on here is that this map is more square. And obviously smaller.
Hardpoint.
Alright, first question. You're spawning.
Secure the objective.
Where's the first point going to be?
Hardpoint identified.
Again,
Hardpoint is
basically
secure.
got it right in the middle
We've
of the
pulled
map.
ahead.
All the same general rules as the other one. Keep the enemy team on that side. Control this. You need one person on the point, if you're even going to take it. You can sit here. A perfectly viable option in something like this is to farm it. You don't even need somebody there. Just kill the people. That's a little bit too passive and, non-PTFO for a lot of people. One person. Everybody covers for them. Because the enemies, are going to come from 1, 2, 3, 4, a few critical areas right here. Somebody is inevitably going to attempt to sneak behind you. So you know that if you stand here at this door, you're going to get knifed from the back by somebody. It's not that hard. You get one person on the point, if anybody. You watch your areas and you cover your back. You don't put the entire team going, oh, let's all stand here and shoot. Okay, where's the next point going to be? this is doing it. Go to the different points. You know somebody's going to come back here. Somebody in every match is going to come right around behind you and shoot you and attempt to execute you. Somebody in every match is going to get behind you and come up behind you and start gunning you all in the back of the head. That's why you have to cover those things. You have to be aware of them. You have to watch out for them.
Hardpoint identified.
Okay, where's the next point? Okay, so this is now different. Our team spawned on this side and we're having to push to the extreme other side. So, you rotate out. Oh, actually, it's not so extreme. Okay, here we go.
Hardpoint locked down.
Okay, same thing. You want to clear out this spawn side. First agenda over here is to clear out this side as your team pushes over and flip them back to your original spawn line. When you do that, okay, so you clear this out. Whoever is in the back, somebody ideally needs to stay back here and cover these to maintain control of spawn. The map is so small that the likelihood that they're going to come around and attempt to flip you right back out of here is really high. So ideally you want somebody who's decent to anchor this area behind the hard point. The other people can then control the doors, the stairs, and this. There are only so many entrances to this. You have 1, 2, 3 entrances to this. Somebody needs to be back here holding the spawn down and keeping the people from sneaking in behind everybody. And then you can watch for their death indicator. You see a skull. That's why those skulls matter and why, you know, the perks that keep the skulls from appearing are powerful in other games. But you need to hold this down because there's just not that much that can go on. If your team will lock down these critical things, watching, keeping the spawn, flipping them out and keeping the spawn here, forcing them to the other side of the map, and controlling 1, 2, 3 doorways, you have the point. You have one guy in here actually on it. That's all you need. The other people can either go up here and control the stairwell, they can control the door, or this. And it's at least one person back here floating around a little bit to control the, keep them from coming all in at the same time on you.
Hardpoint identified.
Same rotation rules. Here we go. Now we're flipping to the extreme other side. It took about less than 10 seconds to get over here. That's the deal with these small maps, is that you can rotate quickly and get in here. Again, immediately need to be clearing out the spawn. Need to watch out for them coming in behind you.
Hardpoint
Once
is
you're
secure.
in here and you flipped them to the other side, one door, all together, 3 doors. That's it. You don't put an entire team in here getting shot in the back from 3 doors. That's absurd. 3 doors are not that hard to cover. That's why you take over this spawn, you keep at least one person back here to control this corner. You watch for your death indicators. If they need backup, you can step in from... Ideally, you do not need to be vacating this. You need to be back here, and one person needs to be back here covering this at least. And if backup, if anything, you would not go up to these. You need to stay back here and control this alleyway. They're going to be constantly pouring in through this alleyway. So again, back to timing. We have a minute left. That was 1, 2, 3. See where our see where the 4th point goes. Easy as pie. Middle 50-yard line. maybe 75-yard line on both sides, 66, 75. It's symmetrical. Okay, here we go. Where's the next one?
Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint is secure.
Okay, easy as pie if you controlled it. You shift over. You've got maybe a 10-second commute. You control the last point, you shift like butter right over to this one. The enemy should still be spawning over on this side. There are only 2 entrances. If you controlled your spawn, there are only 2 places that they're going to be coming from. You know that they're going to pour through this alley over here. Very few people are going to station somebody out here when there's no reason to be out here. They're going to attempt to flip behind you. They're going to attempt to come through here. They're going to try to come through here. That means that to control this point, this is just bread and butter. You have 3 entry-exit points. One of them should have been under your control. You know they're going to try to get behind your back. You got one guy on the point. He's right here or similar. It should be the easiest thing on earth. I mean, furthermore, it should be common sense that one person on the team needs to have a trophy. The Call of Duty squad-based gameplay that is so non-existent, it's worse these past 2 years than ever because of this god-awful SBMM quick play junk. You know, you don't even see people putting trophies. They don't know to use a trophy. They don't want to use a trophy. Somebody needs a trophy. You know, every hardpoint should have 1 trophy at least. I pretty much have to run an ammo pack because I stay alive long enough to need the ammo to go on streaks. I can't... You could use scavenger, but then you have to get over their bodies, where if you're trying to control stuff like this, you don't need to be going to collect stuff over their bodies. Alright, and now you're just right back. So, this map is, I have not played, but like 1 round of Hardpoint on this. This map is extremely biased. This is, there is 1 point in the entire rotation that is on the, for where I spawned, the team I spawned on, there is 1 point that is on their side. So this is extremely lopsided as far as like the positions of the points and the control and stuff. I mean, unless I'm missing something here, like this, the only there's 1 true flip. If you spawn on this side of the map, which I did, this is the first bread and butter 50-yard line. You have 1 flip, which takes it back to here. It flips it back to the opposite side over here, and then your next point is just as your next 2 transitions are all biased to the original spawn team. So like, you spawn here, this one's easy. You gotta flip it back out to get over there. You gotta flip it back out to get back over here. But once you do that, your next 2 points are here, which you've just been given a gimme, and here, which you've just been given a gimme. So the team that controls the team that controls the spawns for this point, that point, and this one, we get 3 controls in a row. And if we spawned on this side, that effectively kind of gives us 4 controls. It's kind of hard to count the first one because it was half and half, but due to like familiarity and just being like knowing your turf, that is effectively putting 1 point truly under the positioning of the original, the team that spawned on that side. Okay, gotta take a break and then I'm gonna come back and play something.
Good job, team. All mission objectives met.
Way to follow the script, boys.